Hello BookTube, it's Louise the Big Head Bookworm. How are you? Are you having a good day? Can I get away with this lighting? This is the first question that I have to ask you. It's quite late in the day and I'm trying to finish this. I'm trying to get it recorded in the little light that I have left before I have to go completely to the overheads, but we'll go for it. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. You can see me. I can see you. That's the main point. So I'm here today with the rest of the books that I read on my holiday and the book that I am trying to finish, that I have to finish today. Basically, today is the last day of August. I am not reading it in September. I want it done. It's driving me witless, but I will get there. Anyway, let's get on with the books that I read on my holiday. So you've seen the previous one, and then I read Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Now, I was down in Cornwall. Rebecca is set in Cornwall. This is her... It was her breakout, standout, amazing novel, even though she's so well known for her short stories, including The Birds. She's well known for Jamaica Inn. And I read earlier in the year, I read Frenchman's Creek. But this is the book that I always associated with Daphne du Maurier. This is Rebecca. I can't remember if I associated it with because of the book or whether the film, the Alfred Hitchcock film with, was it Cecilia de Havilland? And it was Laurence Olivier, wasn't it? Because I have them in my mind. Last night I dreamt I went to Manderley again. Oh, I love it. So this is a reread for me. I've read it numerous times. I wanted to read it down in Cornwall. It was as wonderful as ever. And yet, again, I learned new things with it. I had forgotten that our heroine is nameless. We just know that she has an unusual name because her husband compliments her on it. That the main character in this book is the person that is not there. It is Rebecca. For those that don't know the story, it is the story of a paid companion who is on work holiday in Monte Carlo looking after a rich older woman. She strikes up an unlikely friendship with what's his name? Maxim De Winter. Maxim De Winter. She's early 20s, he's mid 40s. They get married and go back to his house in Cornwall called Manderley, and it's about his first wife. What happened to her? Who was she? And it's about how awkward and diffident and shy and what a non-entity the narrator is, the second wife. And it's a most amazing book because you're looking at it through her eyes, and yet the most vibrant character in the entire book is the wonderful Rebecca. Wonderful in her aliveness. But anyway, that's the book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I read it on the beach a lot. So from the top, it looks absolutely fine. From the bottom, it has completely been saturated in water because it was in my bag and my bag ended up sitting in a pool of water. And so it's looking well read and I love it even more for that. So that's what I read. So if you haven't read Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca, or you've just seen the film, Last Night I Dreamt I Went to Manderley Again, I completely recommend it. Love, love, love. So that was a glorious book to read down in Cornwall as well. Gorgeous. I then picked up, can you see this? Oh, no, I read 2 books on my Kindle, which I have the covers for you here. I can't do that fanciness. I will learn how to do that fanciness. Oh, can you see that? It's called Nightshades by Melissa F. Olson. And I think it's her first novel. It says the Chicago FBI needs fresh blood. So do the vampires. It's a paranormal thriller. I can't remember where I heard about this. I think it was Book Riot. And if anybody else has read it, did you hear about it through Book Riot? I really enjoyed it. It was very light-hearted. It's we've learnt about that the vampires are real. In the last couple of years, they're called shades. The FBI recruit one. That's the general to solve this particular mystery. It was great. Absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. Totally engrossed when I was reading it. Completely forgettable. It read like the first of the series, but I gather it is just out. I think it came out in August. So I don't know when if there is going to be any more, but it read like the first book in the series, and I would pick up the others. Probably ebooks, I wouldn't go around and hunt them. The next ebook I read is a novella. Can you see that handsome chap? It's Cresley Cole, The Warlord Wants Forever. It's the first book in the Immortals After Dark series. I picked up number 15 from the library and discovered that you actually do need to read them in order. They're romances, paranormal romance. It's very silly, very, very silly, and quite steamy. Oh, oh, yes, a perfect holiday read, one would say. Talking about steamy, I picked up a couple of these at Mills and Boon. So, defying the billionaire's command. I think she's defying his command to look jolly. Oh, jolly up, love. And, gosh, this is called The Mistress That Tamed DeSantis. Good Lord, what is the matter with the woman? Anyway, you don't pick them up for the covers, do you? So Mills and Boon, picked up a couple of romances, nice and cheap. Thought, oh, I'll have those. Is it just me, or have Mills and Boon become more steamy in the last couple of years? Oh my! I was like, you want to do what to her wear? Are we sure that's entirely hygienic? I mean, really? I know somebody that's been married nearly 20 years that's not experienced that. Makes note on to-do list. I was quite like, gosh, well. But anyway, brightened up an afternoon. They're very quick Mills and Boon reads. Either you read them or you don't. So, changing the subject slightly away from steam, I read the second book in the Grisha trilogy. This is Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. I read the first one, Shadow and Bone, thoroughly enjoyed it. Second one, I can't go into the plot because plot spoilers. Suffice to say, I have got to page... What page did I get to? 235, and I just gave up. I'm well over halfway through. Well, not well over halfway through, but I'm over halfway through, and I was really struggling with it. I interspersed it with some of the Mills and Boons, and I think that's almost why I picked it up. I was struggling with it because it was just boring, repetitive, and boring, and I didn't care. I honestly, I've got to the point where I was just like, I don't care. I don't know whether it's complete second book syndrome and whether I should just grit my teeth and go through it. I think the main problem is I'm seeing no development for the characters, and the Darkling isn't in it. And the Darkling was what got me through the first book, and that I really liked, the character of the Darkling. So the Darkling not being involved in this book as much at all, really, little bits of, I think is the problem with this. I think he was such a strong motivating force, he was such a strong character for me, that the gap is too big for him, the void that he has left in a very dark fashion. I'm just bored. It was so repetitive. So yes, people that have read this, could you please comment and say, is this a second book syndrome? Does it get better? Should I carry on? Should I pick it back up and just persevere and get my way through at the end so that I can read Ruin and Rising, the third one? Or should I just abandon? Should I just abandon it? I really struggled with that. So that was a bit of a Debbie Downer. And then I picked up the book that I am currently reading. James S.A. Corrie, Leviathan Wakes. Now, I was super pleased and excited to read this, and I am that far through it. So I have read all of that. I have been reading it for what feels like several years. And I don't know whether it's the book. I think it is the book's fault. I was going to say it's my fault, but I'm not going to have that. I'm not going to have that, James. No, not this time. I ain't going to do it this time. Hair flick. It says welcome to the future, and that it is a blockbuster in a book form, and if this is what the future is, what I couldn't stand was, it is basically space war. That is what it is, space war. Which is fine. But it's so old-fashioned that the welcome to the future and the society, the civilizations that they're talking about millions and millions and millions of people spread across, countless asteroids and planets, and it's just... man, woman. The men do all of this stuff. It's so stereotypical. It's just got nothing new. Nothing new about it. Your science fiction, literally, the sky is the limit, and yet there is no change to any male to female interaction. There is nothing else other than male to female relationships. There is no kind of development with what possibly could happen in society. It is so stereotypical 1970s space opera, a space war, and I looked at it, I thought, okay, I could forgive this if it was a late 1980s book. When was it written? 2011. 2011, and this is a big series that is being, that you hear about. It was Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey, and these are, I looked up who they were, and it's two authors, and one of them's an assistant to James R.R.R. Martin, him of the old Game of Thrones malarkey, which I have read 2 out of the however many books, and I don't watch the series. I watch some of it, but I prefer the books, to be honest. And the other chap, he lives nearby, and he's also a writer. And I just thought, where's any idea? Where is anything new, exciting? There's nothing about anything other than males do this, females are like this. It's just nothing. Gosh. Oh, and I've just noticed it's gone really quite dark with my mood. I'm affecting the light. Anyway. Not happy with this. Not happy with this book. But I have trogged on. And it's like the structure. Dual perspective. One character, the next character. One chapter, the next chapter. For the whole of that. One chapter, next chapter. One chapter, next chapter. Oh, perhaps we could spice it up. Perhaps we could have 2 chapters in the same perspective. Hey, how about that for an idea? No. Oh, no. One chapter, the next chapter. Anyway, if you like this book, I can understand it. Having said all of that, I can understand liking it. It's well plotted. It's A to B to C to D to E. I can still understand that that's what you want. If that's the type of book that you read, the type of book you like, I can completely understand it. I just think there's better science fiction blockbusters out there. I really do. I think there is much better ones out there. I think if you look at Peter Hamilton, if you look at Ian Banks, just to name 2 off the top of my head, which I think do things like this with so much more creativity and such bigger scope, and have been doing it for years. I mean, Ian Banks now is no more, but there's so much more out there. There's so much more that you could have done about it. And I just think it's such a shame. It's such a shame. And this is the first in 3, 4, 5. Here we go. 5-book series. And then there's other stuff. So maybe it does develop. But I can't see the society is so... Now, anyway, I'm going off on a big rant here. I'm stopping there. I have about 120 pages left. And I will get to the end. And then I think I'm going to call it a day with James S.A. Corey. However, I completely understand it. If you do like it, great. It's just not for me. Anyway, that's it. So August was there were some really good months, some really good reads. There were some not so good reads. But, that happens. September is tomorrow, my mum's birthday. We're having afternoon tea here. My sister, my brother's coming. My other brother couldn't make it. You don't need to know this. So yes, it's all going to be fun and fab. And everything like that. I hope you're all well, BookTube, and I'm sorry if I just ranted. Sorry about that. But I felt like I needed to get it off my chest, and you were there for me, so I thank you even more. All right then, my lovelies. Bye-bye.